are plenty of reasons to be excited about this Sixers young core. From third overall pick VJ Edgecombe shining in training camp to Tyrese Maxey take on a leadership role and Quentin Grimes being back on the roster, but do not let Jared McCain get lost in the shuffle. The would-be Rookie of the Year returned to Sixers training camp and spoke to the media for the first time in several weeks, providing a little bit of insight into where his mentality is, how the recovery process is going down, and what exactly happened for this torn ligament to ultimately occur. It has not been an ideal start to his professional career in the NBA, as obviously his rookie season ending early due to a meniscus tear and starting out a little bit behind the eight ball due to a torn ligament in his shooting hand to start his second season. But I do want to talk a little bit about what specifically McCain has said and why we cannot write this guy off for a potential building block of this Sixers franchise. So let's get right into things here and do want to start off with the quotes from McCain directly. So I love this quote that he started with here saying, quote, "The universe is throwing haymakers at me, but it's all part of the process," McCain said after practice on Wednesday. "I just got to continue to trust that it happens for a reason. It sucks because I feel like I was right there, so close to being back, and then just another setback. I'm always going to stay grounded, stay with that gratitude, but yeah, just been doing simple stuff. I can't really do too much with the brace on, but moving at the same timeline as they said, and we'll see where it goes." And I will say, the one thing that has become crystal clear about Jared McCain since the second he was drafted in Philadelphia, the mentality of this dude is the real deal and something that is going to take him quite far. That he does not get rattled. He is wise beyond his ears and has like a mental toughness that frankly a lot of athletes would benefit from having, and he's putting it on full display, unfortunately far more often than I wish was the case here. Now to continue on a little bit, he talks specifically about how the injury occurred, and he said, quote, "It was such a freak thing, like stupid little thing," McCain added. "Just somebody was rolling to the basket and I was tagging him, and I put my hand on him and I heard it pop, and I went to the sideline. I was like, I tried to hold the basketball and like I moved and I tried to shoot, and then it was like moving this way, so I was like, yeah, I'm cooked." McCain then went back to the practice facility in Camden, New Jersey, and began to get emotional at the realization that something serious had happened to his thumb. "So I went into the training room," McCain recalled. I was crying. I just immediately started crying. It's just so frustrating when that happens. Yeah, I knew something was wrong immediately, but after a few days, I kind of calmed down. I got to have a depressive state, but I was good and back to my normal self now." And I will say, for injuries as a whole, a lot of times they're even more mentally draining than physically draining, particularly a guy like Jared McCain, who obviously has these high aspirations of being a high-impact NBA player and has shown that he can do that he did that last year. Let's not forget that in the 23 games that we did get to see this guy playing 25.7 minutes per game, averaging 15.3 points, 2.4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, shot 38.3% from beyond the three-point arc, 46% from the field, still just 21 years old and just trying to make his mark on the league, and really the opportunity is not being presented to him. He is suffering these issues and setbacks, and that is be maddening for a guy who's worked his entire life to get to this stage, and he just did not get on the floor. I totally understand that, and I think it's healthy that he's getting the emotions out, and I honestly respect him like telling this, that I think there's plenty of players that certainly went through that same exact process and would refuse to ever say that publicly there. So shout out to Jared McCain for a little bit of honesty. And he continues on to say, quote, "Always looking at the bright side," McCain added. "It's nothing to do with the knee, not that big of a recovery process. I was definitely grateful for that. But again, yeah, it still sucked. I remember I was driving home and they called me. They got the MRI results and they called me, and I was right by my house. They told me, and I immediately started crying again. I had to pull over and just relax for a little bit. I called my mom. I called my psychologist. It was tough, but we'll be back for sure." The good thing is McCain has been able to get his knee right. Even while the right hand is in a brace and he can't do anything with it, he's been able to get after it with left hand and grow that side of his game. It will help him when he gets reevaluated in roughly 2 weeks. Quote, "I'm still conditioning and I feel like I'm in game shape," he finished. "Maybe not when I get back out there, but I feel like I'm in game shape. Doing all left-handed workouts. I can't really touch it right now, but literally just layups, floaters, and a bunch of running." And once again, respect him putting work in his craft in any area that he possibly can. Maybe this ends up with Jared McCain with the best left-hander of all time. I have Jalen Williams out there with the Thunder going through a very similar process right now, where he's putting up some pretty sick workout videos of him just using his left hand because he cannot use his right hand currently due to injury. McCain's sort of going through the same process here. Now, I did want to bring this message about Jared McCain very clearly. I know there's a lot of love for Tyrese Maxey, for VJ Edgecombe, for Quentin Grimes right now. Do not count out Jared McCain, man. But I really do think there's a real chance that when the chips do fall, that he ends up the best basketball player out of each of the names that I did just mention. What we saw last year looks special to me. That the movement, the instincts, the cutting, the just work rate that he puts on the floor, I do believe that in the long term, he will grow into at least a passable defender. I don't think he was nearly as bad last year as it's made out to be, but he certainly has some work to do in that category. But let's also not forget that Tyrese Maxey was a guy that was bullied on the defensive side of the ball when he first came to the league. I will stand 10 toes those down and argue he was an above average defender last year, even though that did not translate to the overall success of the team, and that kind of, decrescendoed as the season progressed and things got more lost. But for McCain specifically, that level of off-ball motion and movement truly can evolve this Sixers offense. When we're talking about those type of actions coming off Joel Embiid double teams and things like that, the floor spacing that he provides, that the Steph Curry example gets used a lot. This guy's the next Steph Curry, or this little guard can shoot it from 40 feet. What I think gets lost so often that is what makes Steph Curry special is the ridiculous shape he's in and the way that he just never stops moving. That the way that he can create shots for himself without having the ball in his hands is incredibly unique. And that is an aspect that Jared McCain has bought into to the fullest extent. That he is locked in on running off ball, running off pin downs, running off screen, whatever motion it takes to shake his defender and free up a split second for a shot. And he's a good enough shooter to knock down just about all of those. So there is a real well where this dude is just a straight up all-world elite shooter, one of the best in the league. We just have to see it on the floor for a consistent basis. And to provide a little evidence from that, I'm going to pull up an article of mine from Crossing Broad here, in which I really try to contextualize things. Now, obviously, this is not an eye-for-eye comparison here, but I still think the statistical overlap is worth noting. The former ACC All-Freshman posted a .589 true shooting percentage last season, which takes into account the efficiency of two-pointers, three-pointers, and free throws. The NBA league average was .576, and McCain posted a nearly 25% usage rate while still reaching these impressive figures. The only other players in NBA history to have recorded above league average true shooting with this high of a usage rate as a rookie, minimum 500 minutes played, are David Robinson, Michael Jordan, Arvydas Sabonis, Karl-Anthony Towns, Alonzo Mourning, Drazen Petrovic, Zion Williamson, and Rodrigo Bobois. The 23 games that are a big asterisk on this regarding McCain, but it is notable him being a smaller guard posting this level of efficiency. And those names that I mentioned, a lot of big men in there. Michael Jordan being one of the few guards that did ultimately pop up. Roddy Buckets as well. But nonetheless, that is strong company to be mentioned with. I do think Jared McCain is built for all of this. That these are bumps in the road that he will ultimately come out on the other side a better player and a better person because of. It is unfortunate that he may end up a bit buried in the depth chart for the start of the season because him not being available for opening night. But this is not like a long-term issue that we have to super panic about. That they still have Quentin Grimes. They still have Tyrese Maxey. They still have VJ Edgecombe. And perhaps most importantly, they still have to figure out how these work together. Now, McCain is a key part of this. And to take a peek at the depth chart here that you can see as I pull up a little highlight of our guy Joel Embiid putting some work in there accidentally. But when you take a peek at the depth chart here, you can sort of see the growth of guards that are on this roster. McCain is going to be very much in this mix. I do think in the short term that it likely starts out as him as sort of a six-man role and off-the-bench sort of scorer, but I do think when the dust settles that this is going to have a really key part of this Sixers franchise. There's going to be a difficult conversation to have at the conclusion of the year for who are the building blocks, who are the guards that when you make sure are long-term foundational pieces of this Sixers team, and I think one of the bigger goals of this season is evaluating that exact question. How does Jared McCain play with Quentin Grimes? How does he pair with VJ Edgecombe? Where does Tyrese Maxey rank amongst all these? And then there are going to have to be some decisions at the conclusion of the season. The Grimes contract situation is going to be a huge factor in that, as he will be a free agent. The Sixers will maintain his bird rights and have a path to re-signing him if both sides agree to that, but who knows if feelings are hurt from this offseason here. McCain under contract for several more seasons. Tyrese Maxey already locked up. VJ Edgecombe still on his rookie deal. Those are the more sure things in these conversations, and I think those probably are the names that you would prefer be in that category here. But we'll see how it ultimately shapes down when push does come to shove. But do not sell any of your Jared McCain stock. If you are, I will purchase it all. But let me know what you think about McCain, the outlook. It's nice to just hear him speak in the media. It's nice for him to be around. He's a good vibes guy, uplifts the spirits, and I think it's a good thing for him to be around the team as often as possible. So shout out to McCain, wishing him a speedy and quick recovery here. Do hope we see him on the basketball floor soon. Appreciate you guys for tuning into this video as always. If you have not already, make sure you're smashing that subscribe button below. Drop a like on this video, give me your comments, and I'll be back talking with you next time. Peace.